Hi there, and welcome to Celeb Tea. Andy Cohen has long stood at the epicenter of reality television. He is simultaneously the face of Bravo, the charismatic host of late-night gossip, and the executive pulling strings behind the curtain. His pivotal role began with the Real Housewives. What started as a single experiment in Orange County blossomed into a sprawling, multi-city franchise that quickly turned into a cultural phenomenon. Cohen wasn't simply producing television anymore. He was shaping a world. His influence extended to casting decisions, story arcs, and reunion specials. Viewers didn't just watch The Housewives. They also tuned in to watch Cohen himself react, mediate, and sometimes provoke drama. By stepping out from behind the camera and into the spotlight, Cohen reinvented himself from an executive into a celebrity. For millions of fans, Andy Cohen wasn't just Bravo's producer. He was Bravo. This unusual dual identity, executive and star, granted Cohen extraordinary power. When a single individual embodies both the authority behind the scenes and the spotlight in front, accountability becomes far harder to demand. That very shield of influence would later come under scrutiny as controversies began to build. The first major crack appeared in early 2024 when former Real Housewives of New York City cast member Leah McSweeney launched a federal lawsuit against Cohen, Bravo, NBCUniversal, and production company Shady. McSweeney, who appeared in seasons 12 and 13, had previously spoken about the franchise's darker underbelly, but her legal filing turned whispers into permanent public record. In her complaint, McSweeney alleged that the network maintained a toxic workplace environment where cast members were pressured to consume alcohol and, at times, even drugs, all in the name of creating more explosive television. For McSweeney, this was personal. A self-described recovering alcoholic, she claimed that the constant pressure to drink threatened her sobriety and marginalized her within the cast. In the suit, she went further, accusing Cohen of showing favoritism to employees with whom he allegedly used drugs, including cocaine. McSweeney argued that when she refused to play along with this culture, she was mocked, sidelined, and treated as if she no longer had value on the show. She also claimed Cohen weaponized his immense influence by encouraging a group of Bravo personalities, what she called an army of Bravo babes, to damage her reputation and brand her as dishonest. The lawsuit represented a seismic moment for Bravo. Until then, allegations surrounding Cohen were largely confined to gossip columns, anonymous blogs, or social media speculation. But lawsuits aren't gossip. They create a public record that lives on, regardless of the eventual outcome. Suddenly, Cohen's name wasn't just floating around in rumors, it was embedded in a formal legal document alleging workplace misconduct. Whether or not McSweeney's claims held up in court almost didn't matter. The association itself was enough to damage Cohen's carefully maintained image. Her suit also cracked open a dam. Former housewives began speaking up through interviews, podcasts, Instagram posts, and even open letters. Some echoed McSweeney's claims that Cohen played favorites, elevating certain stars while quietly pushing others aside. Others alleged that excessive drinking wasn't just tolerated, but actively encouraged. According to these accounts, intoxicated meltdowns weren't accidents of reality television. They were deliberate productions, woven into the DNA of the franchise. Old clips of Cohen grinning through cast members' drunken breakdowns at reunions suddenly resurfaced online, no longer viewed as lighthearted banter, but as possible evidence of exploitation. What once seemed like cheeky late-night entertainment began to look sinister in hindsight. In the court of public opinion, individual anecdotes combine into patterns, and patterns are difficult to dismiss. By 2024, Andy Cohen's public persona had shifted. He wasn't just Bravo's playful host anymore, he had become the face of an ethical storm brewing inside reality TV. NBCUniversal, facing mounting scrutiny, attempted to strike a careful balance. Publicly, they defended Cohen and their production standards. Privately, they commissioned outside investigators to review the allegations. Such internal investigations are common in corporate crises, not always to discover the full truth, but to safeguard the brand. According to later reports, investigators did not substantiate the most incendiary claims, such as Cohen personally encouraging drug use. While the findings were never made public, the network treated the review as sufficient to continue supporting Cohen. From a corporate perspective, the calculation was straightforward. Cohen wasn't just another employee. He was the lifeblood of Bravo, the connective tissue holding together a billion-dollar franchise. To remove him would risk alienating fans, sinking ratings, and scaring off advertisers. So Bravo doubled down. Watch What Happens Live was renewed. Cohen continued hosting reunion specials. Publicly, NBCUniversal stood firmly behind him, but perception often overshadows facts. To critics and fans, the internal investigation looked like little more than a shield. Social media campaigns argued that such reviews rarely hold powerful figures accountable. Cohen, meanwhile, carried on smiling and joking on screen, though now under a cloud that refused to lift. The legal process itself became a complicated chess match. Cohen's legal team, alongside NBC and Bravo, filed motions to dismiss McSweeney's claims, arguing they were either too broad or legally insufficient. Courts, in typical fashion, narrowed the allegations, dismissing some while allowing others to proceed in limited form. For Cohen, this was a partial victory. He could publicly state that claims were being thrown out, even though some remained. Headlines gradually shifted from Andy Cohen accused to case narrowed, but reputational damage had already been done. Most fans don't pore over court documents, they remember the headlines. And those headlines had already tied Cohen's name to accusations of a toxic workplace. At the center of both the lawsuit and the broader backlash was a recurring theme: Bravo's culture of alcohol and excess. Drinking wasn't simply part of a storyline, it was embedded into the very fabric of the shows. Vacations filled with shots, wine-soaked dinners, and cocktail-fueled confrontations became staples of the Housewives universe. These moments generated the explosive drama that audiences devoured and executives monetized. But critics argued that what looked like entertainment on screen often came at the expense of cast members' well-being behind the scenes. McSweeney claimed her attempts to remain sober were actively undermined. Others hinted that the culture extended beyond alcohol, with rumors of cocaine use woven into the atmosphere. Though official investigations did not corroborate these allegations, the ethical questions lingered. If producers knowingly create environments where intoxication is expected, do they bear responsibility for the fallout? When cast members who refuse to participate are sidelined or mocked, does the line between entertainment and exploitation become blurred? The public debate around Cohen intensified as fan culture took hold of the scandal. Entertainment outlets dissected every court filing, podcasts devoted entire episodes to the drama, and social media amplified it all. Old reunion clips were reframed as evidence, and Cohen's quips on Watch What Happens Live, once seen as witty late-night humor, were replayed in a harsher light. On platforms like TikTok and Twitter, fans reinterpreted his jokes as confessions or signs of favoritism. Cohen himself tried to push back. His legal team labeled the claims defamatory. His PR staff painted him as a target of unfair attacks. And on his Sirius XM show, he often made light of the situation, turning the controversy into a punchline. Bravo, meanwhile, walked a more careful line, insisting that internal reviews found no wrongdoing while pledging to take employee complaints seriously. Yet perception proved stubborn. Cohen's name continued to trend alongside terms like toxic workplace, keeping the controversy alive. Behind the headlines, the stakes were larger than Cohen's reputation alone. Bravo and NBC faced a business decision. Cohen wasn't merely a host, he was the architect of a cultural empire. He cast, produced, and hosted, the linchpin connecting multiple franchises worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Removing him could destabilize the network's most lucrative brand. Sponsors didn't abandon Bravo, and fans, while vocal online, didn't stage mass boycotts. The Housewives machine kept spinning, fueled by the very drama that had built it in the first place. For industry insiders, the Cohen saga became a cautionary tale. It raised uncomfortable but necessary questions. Should reality TV be allowed to manufacture chaos by encouraging substance use? Should internal corporate reviews be trusted to hold powerful figures accountable? Or should independent oversight be the standard? And what happens when one man, armed with both creative control and celebrity status, becomes too big to challenge? Cohen's dual persona, cheeky host on camera, powerful executive behind the scenes, remains both his greatest strength and his most controversial shield. His quick wit and playful energy charm audiences, but they also mask the immense influence he holds over careers, storylines, and reputations. The very charisma that makes him beloved also complicates efforts to hold him accountable. In many ways, Andy Cohen's story is less about one man's alleged misconduct and more about the unchecked power that defines reality television. It shows what can happen when entertainment, money, and influence collide, where charm becomes armor and accountability struggles to find its place.